Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about tunneling. I'll first show you the setup of my VMs, and then I'll talk about what I have done to what we can do to achieve tunneling. So before we dive in, I'll quickly show you the setup, and then we can take it from there. As you can see, I am on a Parrot machine, and this Parrot machine is having a network. Okay, so if you see, I have one network here, which is 172.16.70.130 is the IP here. So I am on 172.16.70 network, and then I have another VM running Ubuntu, which is on 172.16.70.135, and this has two network interface cards, one of which is ENS33, and this is on the same network 172.16.70 network. And there is another network interface card, ENS38. This is on 172.16.238.138 network, 238.130 IP address, and is on 172.16.238 network. And then I also have one Windows machine, which I am accessing through a tunnel right now, but I will show you how that tunnel works. I have done a couple of things here, and I will show you. But these should not ideally matter for what we are doing here. I have disabled the firewall here just to make it easier for us to access this machine. And then I have also configured remote desktop here. So if I go here, I have allowed connections from computers running any version of remote desktop, which will basically allow us to do a RDP from anywhere and allow us to connect to this machine once we are able to establish a tunnel through this. So I'll close this, okay, and then I'll also close this, and then let's get started. So if you are unaware, basically SSH has tunneling capabilities built in, and if you do a man SSH, you can see that basically by going to minus capital L. So minus capital L is for local port forwarding, which basically means that I can give a local port which can be forwarded to a remote host and remote port. Similarly, there is a minus capital R, which is basically for remote port forwarding, or reverse port forwarding, as a lot of people call it, where I can give a remote port which can be forwarded back to the local host that we have here. And there is one more option, which is what I mostly like for doing these kind of tunneling, which is minus capital D. Minus capital D is for, if we look at it here, it's for dynamic port forwarding, and it allows you to open port in SOCKS 4, SOCKS 5 format. SOCKS 4, SOCKS 5 protocol, which will allow us to do any kind of port forwarding that we want. So as you can see here, whenever a connection is made to this port, the connection is forwarded over the secure channel, and the application protocol is then used to determine where to connect to from the remote machine. Currently SOCKS 4 and SOCKS 5 both protocols are supported, and SSH will act as a SOCKS server. Now we will be using this minus capital D, as this is much simpler when you do port forwarding for a whole range of IP address or whole range of ports, rather than just one or two ports. So the usage is pretty simple. You have to just say SSH minus capital D 1080 and the command that you want to connect for connecting to the remote host. And here it can be an password based authentication, or it could be a passwordless authentication with RSA based key. It doesn't matter. But this is we are giving the minus D cap 1080. 1080 is the local port that will be used. So if we do SS minus TUNLP, you can see that we are only listening on one port, which is not 1080 before we start the SSH. Actually, I can remove minus U. That way it will only show me the SSH ports. Now once we have done that, we can run this login. So once we have logged in, there is no change. We have logged into the Ubuntu server as usual, and I can do a IP address here to see the addresses that we are seeing on the remote host. But what we will see here is that now we have port 1080 opened, and this is opened by SSH PID 5548. This is the command that we have used here to connect to the remote host. Now with this dynamic port, we have opened SOCKS4 proxy connection, and now we can use different kind of applications which can connect to SOCKS proxy to connect to basically our remote host, that is the Windows host, which is not directly accessible from here. For that, what we are going to first do is look at cat etc proxy chains.conf, and I have added here SOCKS4 127.0.0.1 and this is telling that I want to use SOCKS4 proxy, and it is going over 1080 port number through localhost to any other host that we want to use, right? So if we run it through proxy chains, then it will be going over this specific connection that we have here. Now let's open Wireshark and see how we can determine what is happening. Let me give my password here, and we should have Wireshark open. Okay, Wireshark is open now. This is fine. This is because we are running on a virtual machine. So now that we have opened it, we can do nmap and the IP address of my Windows machine. Which is 38.130. 172.16.238.130. No, this is not correct. Two 38.128. Okay. 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 One second. IP route. So I still had a default route, which is basically allowing me to directly reach my Windows machine. I have just deleted that. Now if I see there is no default route, and now if I try to do an nmap, you can see that the host seems to be down, and it is not able to get to our host. If you look into this, then we can see that we are sending some packets to 128, which is my Windows machine, and we are getting RSTAC basically. No. Okay, let's do this one more time. and there are there doesn't seem to be any packets in. Yeah, because probably it is not doing anything. Let's disable ping, and we can see that once we disable ping, still it is not able to get any packets, and we cannot see any packets being sent. Now let's try to do it through proxy chains. And if you see, proxy chains is actually sending all the packets through our 127.0.0.1 port 1080, and all these are going to 172.16, 238, 128 through proxy chains. And okay, this is not allowing me to this is capturing. Yeah. So if we could come back to Wireshark, first thing to observe is that all the packets are showing as SSH only, and there are no other packets that are being shown from being sent from my machine to the Windows machine. This is because all the packets are being actually sent over SSH, and the other side of the SSH server is sending it over to the 238.128 Windows machine. And this is allowing us to basically encrypt all our packets and send the packets through the Ubuntu machine that we have here, with two interfaces to the Windows machine that is not accessible directly from our Parrot machine right now. With that said, we can see that we can see the open ports here, and we can run other nmap scans as we require, or we can even use MSF console. So I'll show you how I have set up the MSF console. I have used MSF console, and I am using exploit Windows SMB MS17010 Eternal Blue, which is basically MS17010 vulnerability in Windows 7, right? I have set the R hosts to 238.128, and I also need to set proxies. So I will set proxies. I can set the proxies as SOX5 127.0.0.1 1080. And as you can see here, it will not show up here, but if I do show advanced, then I can see that configuration, and we will be able to see the proxies configuration here. We can see it here. Proxies is set to 127.0.0.1 1080, and this is where I am telling Metasploit to go over SOX proxy and not directly reach the machine. Other than that, we don't have to do anything specific, because proxies will take care of everything else. Also note that if your Windows machine is not able to directly reach the attacker machine, then there is no way that you will be able to create basically you will not be able to get a reverse shell. So if possible, try to use bind TCP, so that if you are able to bind open a port on the remote machine, then you are able to reach over SSH from the attacker machine to the remote host. So once I have made these changes, I can simply do exploit, and we can see that we are able to see the machine open vulnerable to MS17010, and it is doing its trick, and we should be able to get a Meterpreter session, as we can see here. And this in fact is the remote machine, which is the Windows 7 machine we have just seen. And once this is done, we can also use XRDP and do all kind of things that you want to. So if I want, I can actually do a proxy change for XFreeRDP and connect over to the remote machine with XFreeRDP and use that to connect to the remote host. So if you want to do it through a Windows machine rather than over SSH, then that is also pretty straightforward. Once you have interpreter shell, you can just back out of it and then search for auto route. Use again, I can go back to my sessions, -i1. Sessions -i3, and then I can use run post multi manage auto route. This will automatically detect the 238 network and add a route for it, which I can see with the route print. Once I am route print will show me that I have added a route for 238 network through session 3. And once I have done this, basically I need to search for SOCKS and use SOCKS proxy. There are a couple of options here that you may want to look at. The version by default is 5. If you want, you can set it to 4. And this version should actually match with what you have given in your etcproxychange.conf, so that you are able to use this proxy. If you want a username and password, you can set that. You can also change the server port if you want to, and then just use this and run this, and this will start a SOCKS proxy for you, similar to how we have run a SOCKS proxy with SSH on Ubuntu machine. So that's all for today. Thank you.